Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far after a fantastic victory for the Vegas Legion last night against the Minnesota Rokkr to keep their champ streams alive, and if not make themselves even marginal favourites it feels like right now to make it all the way once we get down to Major 5. Clayster has given his thoughts on their recent success, where they've taken a step forward, when if ever he plans to step away from the team, and also some thoughts on his frustration with the lack of a pause feature which affected their game against FaZe just the other day. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, a big story that has been going around over the last few days. So I'm guessing Call of Duty and the anti-cheat or whatever has been trying to stop cheaters arriving into the game and hackers and everything that's kind of ruining ranks. That makes sense, fair enough. And I guess players that have been accused of, let's say you get reported a little bit, I don't know, then maybe Call of Duty is just deciding to shadow ban certain accounts. So some of these players, the likes of Dashy, Arcitys, Standy, are tuning into ranked to try and play some, and they can't do it. They won't let them queue. So it seems like basically like they can't find anyone, and the system has shadow banned them because it thinks they might be cheating. Now, they're pro players, and this is obviously a bit of a shambles, right, when there's actual legitimate hackers that are getting away with it and playing every single day in ranked no problem, and then the actual pros on their official pro accounts are getting shadow banned and can't even play the game. So I don't really know what's that about. I know that Arcitys was having issues with this as well. As Dashy said, good guys always finish last. It's a hacker's world out here. The hackers get away with it, and we do not. You'd think that they'd find a way for the pro accounts that are listed as the pros on the top 250 leaderboards would surely be automatically whitelisted from stuff like this, so they can't get shadow bans by whatever system is trying to look at a lot of the top players and figure out who's actually dodgy and who's not. So I don't know, a bit of a strange one, but hopefully they can get that resolved. But as we'll say in a second, it's not exactly the first thing the developers have not done particularly well over the last 24 months or so. Quick roster update as well on the Rokkr ESG team as they now are. So it's kind of Rokkr Academy, it's kind of not. But Goggins got dropped the other day. I know that Doug was talking to Goggins that maybe it feels like a Mohawk for Assault moment at the end of last season when Mohawk got dropped for Assault from the Toronto Ultra Academy NA and they went on to beat them at the World Championship in Challengers that season. Whether a similar thing could happen, but it's pretty interesting that Real is going to return to Spain to extend his visa. He'll be back with the team in time for the championship weekends, but Pro MR is going to join them for the Toronto Open. So bit of a mess, but yeah, Wardy, who's actually the subliner's substitute, who's a big name player really from the UK scene. He hasn't had too much success in challenges this year, but he was really touted just alongside Beans from the UK scene over the last year or so, and Beans got his chance. Woody didn't get his chance this year, but I think he will at some point. One player that did get their chance was JoeDeceives. I thought this is pretty interesting actually that Dr. Doug Lee looks into this and says that out of their season, the bright spot really has been JoeDeceives. Okay, a slower SMG, but he was the only player on their team to win more gunfights than expected. Not exactly sure how he calculates the kind of like expected gunfight win percentages, but I thought it's pretty interesting, right, that, you know, in terms of favored fight percentage and the amount of them that he actually wins, he does better than expected. And look, he kind of falls into the more beta SMG category, which I guess you can understand given he's playing with Exceed, and he's pretty similar to even Bance and TJ in some ways. Pretty interesting stuff, but maybe looking at some of these numbers, you think, yeah, JoeDeceives has been pretty solid for them, I think, so far this year, and maybe deserves to get the team built around him next year, but who knows what's going to happen. London also have some big questions to answer. There's so much uncertainty going into this off-season because we don't know what's going to happen fully with the Florida team. We believe they're going to be the Miami Heretics and they're going to bring in a Spanish team, but that's not absolutely guaranteed. No idea what's going on with Guerrillas. Are they even going to be there? Is another organization going to buy them out? Are they going to be forced to field a roster? And if they do, what direction would they even bother to go in at that point? Same story with London. They got bought or taken over by the Spanish guys of KOI, Koi, whatever they're meant to be pronounced as, or like basically the ownership merged between those guys and Wrecked Global, who own the Ravens. So are they going to try and move London to Madrid? Is the CDL going to be happy with that? Are they going to try and bring in another Spanish contingent to the team, which would be very interesting, but then we might lose some UK talented representation and the option of having a London event, which I don't believe should be happening. So, and even what do the London roster do? Because they've been atrocious the last couple of years. Modern Warfare, they had a good season. Cold War, they had probably like 11 or 12 different players. I mean, they had Parasite in there and Z in there and all sorts of stuff was going on. This season they've been pretty atrocious, getting rid of Zero, wasn't sure I was a fan of that. They built a complete mishmash of players, this team, and it's never really worked out. I still think Nasty right now is their best player. I think ideally you'd probably want to build around him for next year and just speak to him and say, look, what team do you want to build? Because I think Nasty's shown glimpses hit this year of the potential that we know that he has. But man, a lot of these teams have some really interesting questions to answer come the offseason, especially the ones that have been absolutely atrocious this season, as London certainly have. This I've also got to mention for Doug, because maybe Doug's the solution to these problems, but apparently when the Call of Duty season ends, Doug is going to attempt to break the world record for pull-ups. We know this guy likes doing pull-ups, so I've seen it in the background. So the world record for pull-ups, you guys might have heard about this record because of David Goggins, right? This guy he broke the world record a few years ago now with like 4,000 in 24 hours, which is... It's just absolutely absurd to think about. I mean, this record is ridiculous. But now someone's done 8,000. 8,008 is the world record in 24 hours. This is an insane record, and I don't know what Doug's plan is to, like, in terms of training and what he's going to do to be able to achieve this, because this, I think, it's physical strength, but it's also absolutely mental strength. Like, this takes a mind of steel, I think, to actually achieve something like this. So we'll see what Doug tries to do if he wants to make this work, because I'll be there to watch. I'll be donating if Doug makes this happen. But let's dive into this Clayster situation, because Vegas got a great victory last night against the Minnesota Rokkr. As he says, one match behind now. They're super close to getting it done, and Rokkr have been struggling lately. Vegas will feel confident, and it's still in their own hands, right? That's what they've got to look forward to here, that they're not reliant on any other results. They can just win everything from now on and still qualify, which is not going to be easy, but they can make that happen. Realistically, at least, maybe there's a weird world in which the major 5 ends up being Surge, Boston, Vegas, and Minnesota top 4, and therefore Vegas somehow still don't qualify, but that's not going to be happening, and Clayster's trying to make the most of the opportunity. And last night was a really great interview with Scump and Methods, 2 players that retired this season, talking to Clayster about his future. And I thought it was great to hear Clay's point of view on this, that when he went down to challenges, he really found his groove again, like just playing that in that situation, found his passion for the game, and as I expected him to, just really associates himself and his own identity with being a Call of Duty pro, and can't really imagine a world in which he's not a Call of Duty pro and he's not doing what he's doing on the daily. So pretty much confirming Clay doesn't want to step away anytime soon.
COD's been around for 14, 15 years now, and it's something special, but like, I guess for me, I just love competing so much, and I love like the everyday process of like waking up, having my morning, and then scrimming all day, and then watching film, and then like prepping for our match. Like, I love the process of it all, and I don't know how to really describe like what I enjoy out of it. It's just mainly like something to pour my energy into, and I love just being able to be like, I'm competing in the top of the world and the top players and the top 0.0001% to try and compete for, you know, millions of dollars a year. My identity is kind of a COD pro, and I'm not really sure what I am without it yet. You know, I'll figure that out when I'm done. But for me,
it's
I mean,
interesting.
Like,
it's interesting, I'll tell you that. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Luckily, I have some good friends I can call and ask for some advice when, you know, when I do decide to hang it up. And I guess just goal, like if I had to pick a goal, it's just one more. Like, I just want one more win. They're just gonna run you over. And so like, we had a good start. And then, like, the next start, they legitimately double pre-nated eLLeY off his spot in the hill. Like, we even considered changing it, but we changed another part of the break instead of that part, and they just double nade him and break us for free. And I mean, like, the only reason they double naded that is because they knew in the first time he played that spot. So it's really hard to simulate something that would be fair. I mean, where's the pause button? Like, can we get, like, we're on PC now. Like, where is the pause button?
Where's that pause button,
Failures
James?
don't happen because they do on LAN and online, but how is there not like a pause button? Like, you know what I'm saying? We got a full replay when we're gaining momentum, and I bet you that Mercado S&D goes way different. If we slam them first map and we're all like, you know, locked in and trying to go through strats. And it's just deflating against a team that's really good, and it's tough to bounce back from that, especially online. On LAN, you can lock back in. You know, you see the crowd, you feel the energy, you're locked back in. But online, I'm in my bedroom like, man, this is cheese.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
this just sucks.
I can tell you.
And the way Clay's playing, that what he's been able to achieve so far this season with the Vegas Legion, they're certainly, like, even if Legion don't make champs, they're going to want to keep him around, obviously. And maybe better teams want Clay as well. Like, I think Clay could very much help a team like Boston. I think there's other teams that Clay could improve around the league as well. I know that people have mentioned at some point around the FaZe team, right? Just because if Slasher isn't the right fit, would they want to go back to teaming with Clay again? It's not out of the realms of possibility, right? Given, you know, crazy things happen in these off seasons. The other point that he mentions before we discuss in a little bit more detail the whole retirement picture and what that might mean for the future is the pause feature drama, because Clay was clearly not happy and lets his frustration, and of course he's got over it a bit because they got a big victory against the Minnesota Rokkr, which he's happy about. But nonetheless, there's been a few situations this season where Vegas have had a chance to do a good result and it fell short. This was the moment where, yes, FaZe were lagging, and I don't blame them for doing a full replay, but nonetheless it's frustrating for Vegas, especially as Clay says, they had a great start here. Look at this, 30 points on the rotation, up 60. They might not have won this series anyway. FaZe played well in the respawns this past weekends, but they had a great start to the map, and then on the restart, as he says, FaZe double-naded Standy because they knew what he did on the previous restart and therefore had a much better start. So it's like, you know, they kind of got a second life for free, and this has happened earlier this season. Even Vegas, I think, benefited from it earlier this year as well. So, you know, what goes around comes around in some respects. It all balances out at the end of the day. But still, as Clay says, where's that pause feature, right? Because maybe, as he reckons on LAN, they might have regained a bit more with the crowd and everything, the energy. But when you're playing from home, you're playing FaZe, tough series. You go up 60 with rotations and nearly getting streaks as well on TJ. And then it all collapses and falls apart. The momentum was ruined for game 2, and a pause feature would have helped this situation. Now, exactly what they'd have done, it's difficult to pause a hardpoint game. In something like, you know, Counter-Strike, right, you can, if the game crashes, you can go back to the previous round, set everything up with the economy and the money and what everyone had and everything for the previous rounds. But doing it in hardpoint, I don't really know how you would make that happen. A pause feature has existed, right, and kind of does exist, and there's been some debate as to whether they can even do it online or on LAN or something, but we have seen it used in Search and Destroy, where teams can request a pause and the game will stop mid-Search and Destroy rounds, and that's fine. And we heard back in 2020, even from Scump, really, that a pause feature was coming. Funny how it worked, right? We're talking 2.5 years ago, nearly 3 years ago, where Scump is talking about the pause feature for the CDL arriving, and then here we are a few months later where situations are occurring where it was necessary, and of course, it never happens. And I remember a comment one of you guys made a few days ago about the map editor, because, you know, there was all this talk before this game came out that there was going to be a map editor in the game. We were going to be able to edit the Call of Duty maps and change boxes and line to sight and spawns and all this type of stuff. That never arrived, and I think there was a quote that came out from Infinity War the other day saying, yeah, it's just a bit too much effort, guys. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources to make it happen. It's like, wow, can't I be shocked about this one? But the amount of stuff they promise that just never arrived, or if it does arrive, it doesn't even properly work. Like the pause feature does kind of exist on LAN in Search and Destroy, but for the majority of the times it's necessary, it simply doesn't work and you have to replay. Absolute shambles. I can understand Clay's frustration, but still, they come out of the week looking pretty good, all things considered. And yeah, as Scump says in replies, was phenomenal to hear Clay's point of view. And I mean, look, Clay obviously is no secret that he's in the latter half of his career, but he's got to be, right? He's been around for like 15 years. If he goes for another 15, it'd be remarkable. I wouldn't put it past him to at least try. But as he says, when he's getting cooked, when he's getting fried, I guess that's when he knows he needs to hang it up. And there's been some maps and series this year where Clay hasn't had the greatest time. His KD on the year won't be great, but he even said in that episode as well that he's taken on a different role now when talking to his teammates. He used to be always just looking at the minimap and trying to micromanage everything and being the leader in and out of the game. And now, like, he's taken a little bit of a step back and decided, you know what, let me focus on my own gameplay, number one, and then number two, I'll think about the rest of the team. And that's helped Clay perform better individually. And some of the maps he's played, he's obviously still got it right. I mean, I don't think he's anywhere near being a caliber of player that doesn't deserve to be in the league. He's certainly still right up there. And with all of his experience and all the other intangibles that Clay brings to a team as well. So hopefully, long may it continue, right? And hopefully Clay sticks around for a while longer. But I thought it was nice to see, because I know that some have thought that, oh, Clay at the end of this year, that might be when he calls it a day. But it's quite clear from Clay's point of view that he doesn't want to, unless he feels like he has to. And maybe he gets forced out of the league, as Crimsix probably feels like he did by not getting any real offers. Then Clay will step away. But then, yeah, maybe if he wins champs, he'll decide to, right? But apart from that, I feel like Clay is still going to be around here for quite some time to come. But very much enjoyed your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.